Hi everyone, Dr. Ed here from EPS. The purpose of today's video is to provide a very brief introduction to a set of videos that I'm hoping to release over the next little while on the topic of parenting, which is something I've discussed in the past, but I wanted to incorporate some information that I've included in recent talks with parent groups and schools. And I invite any parent groups and schools who are interested in this topic to reach out to us at info@atopicalpsych.com, particularly if you're in the Vaughan area. So parent groups or schools in Kleinburg, Woodbridge, or Maple, I would love to connect given that we've just opened a clinic in Woodbridge. And a lot of the information that I include in the talk and in the videos is influenced by Dr. Lisa Coyne, Coyne, who has a beautiful book called The Joy of Parenting, which I have a copy of, but unfortunately I couldn't find it to show you what the copy looks like. But two of the things that she and her colleagues recently included in an article on parenting during the pandemic are psychological flexibility and self-care. And so I wanted to briefly talk about each one of those. As the term psychological flexibility, is that something you've heard before, I wonder? I imagine that for most people it's a no. We can easily think about what is behavioral or psychological rigidity, right? Think about all the times we get caught up in behavioral or decision-making patterns that are where we're stuck in a loop, where we're having trouble sort of getting out of that loop. Oftentimes in making decisions and behaving in a way that are ineffective or maladaptive. And so psychological flexibility sounds like it would be the opposite of that. And really there's three components to psychological flexibility. The first is the ability to recognize and adapt to situational demands. The second is to remain aware and open to the present moment, so then you can recognize and shift behavioral strategies in response to the situational demands. And lastly is to engage in actions and decision making that is consistent with your values, so that you can live in a way that you want to be living, consistent with what's important to you. And then the second point, which you hear all the time, is self-care. But what does that self-care mean? And self-care is the action, the practice of taking action to preserve or to improve your health, particularly during times of stress, which is exactly what we're currently facing. And so I really like those two aspects, psychological flexibility and self-care. And when I talk to parent groups, I often talk about specific strategies for us to be able to increase our ability to engage in self-care and to maximize our psychological flexibility. And this will include things such as being more mindful or engaging in acceptance, engaging in committed action, so making promises to yourself and finding ways to meet those promises. And lastly is to engage in self-compassion, which includes self-care, but also self-kindness. And as I talk about these topics in more detail in other future videos, you'll see how we can start to incorporate specific strategies or behavioral choices on a daily basis to increase our ability to be psychologically flexible and to engage in self-care, and most importantly, to connect with our children. So if you're interested in this topic, please reach out to us at info@atopicalpsych.com. Thank you very much. Take care.